Hi everyone, Teresa Aker here from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. It's my privilege today to bring you Lara Waldman. How you doing, Laura?
I'm very great. It's very hot here in London. So got my fan on. We're staying a bit, trying to stay cool.
I'm talking to you from Canada, and it's hot here too. I think you're getting a little warmer than we are right now, though.
Yeah, we're in a bit of a heat wave.
Yeah, I've heard Europe's to having fun with the heat. So hold on, Laura. I'm going to read your biography and then we'll come back to you, okay? So just quickly, Laura is a wealth coach, podcast host, author of Money Manifestation Mastery at Lara Waldman Limited, and she lives in London, which is so exciting. So you're across the pond from us.
I am. I'm actually from Vancouver, Canada, so I'm Canadian, but I've been living here for 26 years, which I can't quite believe.
Time's flying like this, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is.
I feel like that, but Vancouver is beautiful. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
so beautiful.
I'm in Ontario. I love Ontario as well. But the nice thing about out in Vancouver, BC area is the mountains and all of this. Just so lovely. So lovely. So let's talk about you, Laura. How did
Yeah.
this all get started? I know you're a coach, but what I was really interested in is a manifestation, things like that. We hear a lot about law of attraction, and I'm all about goal setting, but let's talk about what you do to help people. Let's talk about their goals and how you get them to help.
Yeah, so how I support people. So predominantly, first and foremost, as a healer, and I used to call myself a spiritual coach. So I help people connect to, you could call their soul or their higher self or your inner wisdom. There's different languages for the same thing. But we can create goals and intentions from the mind, from the ego. You can manifest and create from all sorts of places. But what I help people to do is to get in touch with not just what you think you want, but what you really want. So one of the areas I enter with is around money, helping people to make and manifest, create more wealth in their life, financial wealth, but wealth in all areas of life. And so we may have a goal to make a certain amount of money or to get certain results in business or life. But I'm always asking why. Why is that important to you? Because often what we think we want is not actually what we really want. And so for me, this is how we create true fulfillment. So I want to make sure that everything people are going for and wanting to create is really in alignment, is my language, with what you want, who you are, and really tapping in. So what I do is I really help people connect deeply to their deepest desires and their deepest wants. That's the first thing, because often we're creating or taking action from really interesting places. Sometimes it's unconscious, like what your family said you should be, or someone else thinks or says you should be. But rarely do we really listen to what do I really want and why do I want it? So that's the first thing I do, which is very interesting. And it's often really simple. It's not usually that complicated. So that's the very first thing. And then the second thing is really about helping people to identify where they're mostly unconsciously blocking themselves from receiving it. So I specialize in helping people to transform their inner blocks to receiving what they want. Because manifesting is one about taking action and creating the practical pieces. But the really cool bit that feels like magic, and people say, "Ooh, when I connect with you, I get that Lara magic." What it is actually creating an energy of receiving where you allow yourself to welcome it into your life. So this is where it's like magical manifestations. It's not actually magical. It's actually about your energy. And this is it. And it's what's in the way. And it's often thoughts, stories, beliefs, emotions, past traumas sometimes. And also what's so interesting, it's on a nervous system level. It's deep in the body. So I talk about body, business, bank account. So it's you're manifesting through your body into your business, into your bank account by clearing the blocks to receiving. And so this bit is really cool. The challenge is often these blocks we can't see. So there'll be surface level symptoms or problems showing up, like not enough money or debt or whatever. But actually, if we go deeper in, we find out what's actually going on inside that's creating those, I call them the surface level symptoms. And from there, when we're really clear on what we want, we identify what's blocking us, help my clients to release those blocks, open up to receive, and then we take what I like to call aligned action. So you're taking action in alignment with what you want, which sounds really simple and obvious, but I find that most people are taking a lot of action that is not in alignment with what they want. They're super busy, they don't have enough time, they don't have enough energy, they don't have enough money, they don't have enough support. They're just running around like a headless chicken. And so we want to really tune into what is the action that's actually going to help bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to be, and how do we bridge that gap and shorten that timeline. So those, I would say, very simply, is the way that I work with my clients.
I like how, can we stretch out a couple of things? Can I circle back?
Of course.
So I listened to you intently. So we do it to manifest something, we have to take action. I understand that. But like you said, there's a magical side of receiving. I like that. There is where I want to come back to you. So
Right.
let's say someone, let's make it easy. I want to be a millionaire. Let's say that. Okay, let's
Yeah.
just make it an easy thing. And we're manifesting, trying, meditating, visualizing, vision boards, all of that. And it's years and they're still not happening. And
Mhm.
then you say, okay, there may be a block. There may be a block, right? Is the block something that you've suppressed? Is it something that you're causing yourself, or do you really want the $1 million? That makes sense to you?
Yes, it does. And it can be both. It can be, and this is where I become like, I call myself an energy detective. So we say we want the thing, we don't have the thing, what's blocking the thing?
Yeah,
And what I think that last bit you said is really interesting is, do you actually want the thing that you say you want? Because what's so fascinating is there might be a part of you that does want the million,
sure.
to be a multimillionaire, but there's often another part that does not want it. So there's inner conflict, or like this inner battle. We have many parts of ourself and they're all playing, and they're often quite scattered or
Sure.
unintegrated parts, and they're all powerful. And some of them are very small little children that live inside of us that are very powerful. If you've been around little people, I remember when I had babies thinking, how is something so small, so powerful, taking over my whole entire life?
Yeah, it was good.
These inner children that are running the show, for example. So what we want to do is, first, the question is, what do you want? Why do you want it? And are you willing to overcome all of those inner obstacles in order to create it and to get it practically? But also, my specialty is the energetics, the inner game. And then, yes, there are often the blocks are suppressed, or they're in the shadow, they're in the unconscious. And this is the challenge. We cannot see what's running us mostly. We're just like, we know the tip of the iceberg, and most of what's running us is under the water.
Yeah.
It's in the unconscious. And this is what's so fascinating. So I'm never bored talking about this, because what's going on in the inner game. And then we can find so many things. Traditionally, like the most like reoccurring theme over and over again I've heard over coaching probably thousands of people at this point is not feeling worthy, not feeling deserving, shame, for example, guilt, fear of being attacked, judged, criticized. What happens if I'm that wealthy version of me? What am I going to lose? What's the pain I'm going to experience? And we're often protecting ourselves from it's the unknown, but it's also, there's parts that feel very deeply threatened by the wealth that you want to create. So this is the really interesting bit, and we don't necessarily know what's there until we start having a little explore.
That's what I was thinking. So how do you know if there's one, even something there? And number two, how does one release that? And is that really basically that's what you do, help them find it and release it, right?
Yeah. Find it, release it, and then I call it rewire. So it's rewiring your whole system, your energy system, your nervous system, all your parts to come into alignment with it. Where essentially the really interesting thing is for you to feel safe in wealth. Because often it's that we don't feel safe. Somehow we don't feel safe. And it's, again, not conscious, but we want to help to create that safety in receiving. So we want to release the blocks, which is relatively simple. I don't want me to tell you one of them.
I would
Would that
like
be?
that. If you could give us a couple of tips, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's really simple.
Okay.
But I would say from my experience, and again, it can be a little bit more complicated, this, but the number one thing that blocks people from manifesting is a feeling that you don't want to feel. Simply that, a feeling that you don't want to feel. So that feeling could be not good enough. That feeling could be shame. Feeling could be guilt. That feeling could be loneliness. That feeling could be jealousy. That feeling could be just some base anger. We suppress our emotions. We suppress, which is energy. We suppress energy.
Sure. What if there's more than one, Lara?
Well, there's definitely more than one.
So how would you know? How, okay, thank you. Let's stop there because
Yeah.
and I want to help people. So let's say you're feeling guilt and shame and anger, all three of
Yeah.
those, but someone else is feeling guilt and loneliness and guilt. So they have
Yeah.
different things. How can they tell? Because they're very similar in those feelings, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, each emotion has a slightly different quality, slightly different energy. What's really interesting about emotions, if we think about the iceberg, is I
Sure.
find that there's, again, surface level emotions.
Yeah.
And if you keep feeling the anger, what I like, usually, again, it depends on everyone. But let's say anger can be what I like to call the frontline defense, the fighter that's going to
Yeah.
protect. And actually, often, if you hold space to release the anger or the frustration, right? Then under that, what will we find? Something a bit more vulnerable. So that might be sadness. Under the sadness, usually we'll maybe find loneliness, right? So what I find is I call it defrosting, where you go down and through the feelings, and it's not a one and done, right?
Yeah.
We still feel feelings, but it's about, if you don't mind me being a bit graphic, it's a bit like being constipated. People
Okay.
get energetically constipated with backed up emotion, and we just need to poop it out. We need to release it. And
I like that.
it's funny, but it's also true because
Yeah.
we get backed up and then it actually creates real blocks. We just don't really know this information. So what we want to do is feel the feelings we don't want to feel, which feels bad, only temporarily. And actually, as you release through feeling, right, it creates space. Then we can start to let go and release. And when we do that, it creates more space to receive. So again, we clear the blockage so we can
Oh,
take in more food. Like we think
oh,
about it like that.
okay, so I get that. So now, okay, so let's say it's guilt. Let's go with something easy. So
Okay.
we have guilt about something we may have deep down. We recognize that. We let it go through, pass through us, get unconstipated. So we let it go through. And
Mhm.
we do that through meditation, perhaps, or through what?
Yeah, there's lots of tools and techniques
Okay.
to transforming feelings. My top technique is meditation. So I have a lot of kind of meditations. I call them abundance activations to help. I have another process called Write into Wealth, which is journaling essentially, where you can journal out everything. There's movement, manifesting with movement, where you can move your body to release emotion through your body. So there's lots of ways. There's tons of tools and techniques out there for emotional balance, like hypnotherapy, emotional freedom technique. There's lots of tools. So it's also just finding the right tool for you to release and create space. So that's just one of the steps. That's the releasing step, is finding a tool to transform, alchemize all those emotions.
I like that, and I agree with you. But here's my $1 million question. What
Mhm.
happens if somebody's going through tumultuous, you mentioned financing, let's go to financing, and they're
Mhm.
in big financial stress and they don't know how to get through it. Now they're trying to calm down and meditate. How does someone do that? How does someone through trauma or turmoil calm down and release those feelings? Can you help us with that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question because it's really like some of the stuff that we're dealing with is really big stuff, financial crisis or a divorce or a death and especially for entrepreneurs and business owners, we're dealing with big, hard stuff a lot. It's like a lot of problem solving, but life happens, right?
Yeah.
I've been through so many of them myself. And what happens is it triggers a lot of very big emotions and often survival, right? So it can take,
Yeah.
again, everyone responds differently to a crisis, but it could be anxiety and overwhelm, which there's a tendency when we go into survivals to rush and fix and try and do something. Or sometimes people go into freeze or shut down or go into ways to self-soothe. So again, it's the same thing. I find in those moments, you can do this on your own as a practice. So I teach everyone, how to do this as a daily practice. But this is where facilitation becomes really important. So for me personally, I do really well with like body work. So I'll go and get a massage, or some people get acupuncture, like ways to actually regulate your nervous system to get you out of survival mode into back into creation mode. So what we want to think about is, how do I get out of reaction, regulate your nervous system, come out of survival, and then start tuning in. So for me, my practice always, I call it my soul or your higher self or your inner wisdom, your inner guidance. The wealth frequency is another word I have for it, which is this infinite intelligence that will actually guide you through any pain and problem. This is what I learned. I've been working with clients on this for 25 years. Every single crisis, every single pain, every single problem is an opportunity, and it can be an activation into your next level if you can work with it consciously, mindfully. But we have to calm down, get out of the reaction, which is not an easy thing to do, but it needs facilitation, it needs support. I think we can do a lot on our own, but I really, from my 25 years of professional experience, I really think we need support. Professional support is what I would say to answer that question. But it also means you have to be vulnerable and admit that you're struggling. And that can be also very hard, especially if you're a leader, especially if you're public facing, work with a lot of very successful people. And it's a lot to admit that you're struggling.
Yes, because I think, yes, I agree with that. Because I would think someone who is a leader, who's in business, is obviously going forward and has a plan. And then when things go awry, they're driven this way, but they're being held this way. It must be extremely frustrating for them.
Yeah, and it's scary and it's hard, and it's almost like the more successful you are, it's like the higher you climb, the
Sure.
taller, the further the fall. So yeah, and I just think we need support. And for my big thing, partly with manifesting, is actually being the power of vulnerability, which means you have to like bring your armor down and open up to receive the right support. It's really important. So yeah, so I would say that's very difficult when you're going through a traumatic experience or a crisis. And the practice is still the same. My manifestation mastery steps, which is, it's not easy, I'll say, but step one is relax. And then when you relax, step two is you release. So you will release or regulate when you relax, but tell someone who's in survival mode to relax. It can seem almost impossible, but this is what I do with my clients, take them into deep relax, deep rest, so we can release, and then we drop in to this next level. So what's so interesting with every crisis is there's another level that's opening up. It looks like everything's falling apart, everything's terrible. But what I know is that's the kind of breakthrough moment, which we can probably think about. Any crisis in your life has also been a huge time of evolution, if we're move forward, of course, with it. And this is what I see. It's like the whole next level is opening up. And so what happens sometimes when people are doing manifesting work, I call it breakdown, breakthrough, or pit to peak. It's like everything's falling apart to come together, but we can't see that. That bit I can see, but it's like we can't, when we're in it, it's really hard to see. So this is why it's so important to calm and get perspective, because there is a bigger picture and there is another level. It's like doors are opening as others are closing. But when we're in survival mode, we can't see it. That's all.
I would agree with that, Laura, because certainly in my lifetime, I like to call them pivotal moments where your life is going this way and you want something else. And it's okay, I want to get better. So let's say you're not feeling well and you say, okay, I want to be, or maybe you're feeling great and you think, oh, I want to have this perfect health. And the next day you get a cold. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, how did that happen? I just said I wanted to have a better life or feel better, and now I have a cold. Or same with you just said, your world is falling apart. Everything is, you feel like it's a disaster. Maybe it's financial, emotionally, physically, everything, the relationships, the whole thing is falling upside down. And you think, why is this happening? And then I've certainly looked back and thought, oh my God, I can't believe I got through it. And I came out the other side even better, even stronger, even more, a better focus in life. And I thought, you know what? I'm glad I did that, because if I'd have kept going on that path, I'd have ended up, I don't know where. So at least this is better. And Laura, I would agree with you. I think when you're going through that, it's a breakdown of your old chapters and your old life and your new one starting, and it has to fall apart. All your connections, all your life, all your daily routines have to go away so you can build for new things. Would that make sense? As you said,
100%.
making room.
Breakdown to breakthrough. But when we're in the middle of that, oh my goodness, it can be devastating. Like your world's falling apart, everything's falling apart. It's horrendous. And that's why it's one of the things I like to hold space for. And that's what I do with my clients, because actually, if you're held through it and supported through it, it doesn't mean it's easy, but it's easier because it's about holding the bigger picture. And it's one of my gifts. I can see what's happening on a soul level or that higher perspective. It's like why this is happening, how this is going to serve you. But it's in the middle of it, that's pretty hard to convince someone. But what I do know, because I've seen it over and over again, it's like what's on the other side is better if you can hold the line and stay in the game and not quit on yourself and just keep going somehow one step in front of the other.
Do you believe in staying focused on your goal? So let's say whatever you're going through that you want to change, do you believe in vision boards and staying focused, where the mind goes, the body follows kind of thing? Do you believe in that?
Yeah, of course. So I call it aligned action. So it's where, where your focus goes, energy flows, definitely.
Oh,
I think goals need to be, sometimes people can get a bit like hard on their goals. I like to have a lighter touch with them, which is more, I call them intentions. So it's, I want this result, but sometimes if we get too focused on the end game, we're missing the point. So for me, the goal is the focus, but it's not about the destination so much. It's like, it's the driving forward, but really what this manifesting is about is who you are becoming, what you're learning, what you're letting go of, your evolution. And yes, that's like the carrot dangling. But if we get too obsessed with goals, I feel like we miss the point. And I've done this myself where it's like, I'm trying to manifest, I'm trying to get
yeah,
there, I'm trying
yeah.
to get there. And what I finally got after doing this, I think it was about the first 10 years, like there's no getting there. Because wherever you get to, you're going to want to get to somewhere else because it's a game. So I think, yes, I'm into goals as focus points, but without trying to be too fixated on that determining whether you're winning or losing or succeeding or failing, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's fair. So while you're doing it, don't get so fixated, lighten up a little bit and maybe perhaps think, okay, I'm not there yet, but look how far I've come.
Yeah, so with my clients, I call it tracking progress because what happens to a
Sure.
lot of people, I'm not there, so I'm a failure. I'm not there, so I'm failing. And I'm like, you're gonna get there, but it's actually about how do we track like progress, little wins, little shifts, little changes along the way,
Right.
because otherwise you're just gonna, depends how big your goal is. Some goals are really big and it can take a long time to get there practically sometimes. So it's like, how do we create little wins along the way so you're not feeling failure? Because that's what I hear a lot. I'm like, it's not working, it's not working. I'm like, it is working. There's progress. You're growing. Things are getting
Right.
better. But that's why that's my only thing with goals is sometimes I used to do this myself, like beat myself up with them. But actually, I just think it's about a focus. But it's not about the end goal really, even though of course we want the result. So it's that I'd like to try and lighten it up. I just like I said, because people give themselves a hard time if they're not hitting it. And sometimes the goal that we thought we were going for changes and evolve. And so
Right.
I'd like a bit of flexibility to pivot if it's not quite it. What I find when my clients are doing this work, they'll have a goal, but as they're growing and evolving and they're shifting and changing their stories, their traumas, their patterns, their beliefs, what they thought they wanted can change. So they're like, oh my God, I thought it was this that I wanted. Actually, it's this. So it's just goals with a light touch with a little bit of flexibility is how I like to play with it.
Wonderful. Now, Laura, you've been great today. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, do you have a course that you're doing right now, or what do you do?
So I've got lots of things going on.
Okay.
Our next one coming up, we have my wealth retreat, which is a free 5-day event. I take you through my step-by-step process to manifestation mastery. We manifest in this event. It's so cool. We focus on money, but obviously it can be more than that. And that's the next live for that is September the 15th, but I run them about 3 times a year. But there's lots of ways to play. I've got my own podcast as well. You can come and I've got free resources there. I've got master classes coming up. There's lots of great stuff going on either in person or online. But I would say the next one that's free and that's really a great kind of intro into this is September the 15th.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you'll give that to me so I can put it in the show notes, right?
Yes, it's also on my website, larawaldman.com as well. You can come and check it out.
Perfect. And I'll make sure all of that's on here, especially your website, so everybody can go. And for your free one, that's nice that you're doing that for people because it is nice this time that people are out giving of themselves like you are to help other people. That's so great. Now,
Yeah.
Laura, so you have a website, you have a podcast. What's the name of your podcast?
It's called Money Manifestation Mastery.
Okay, so we can do your podcast. And are you on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram,
I'm
all
on
of them?
all of them. I'm most active on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm
Okay.
on LinkedIn. I have a YouTube channel as well.
Okay, great. And oh, you have a YouTube channel as well. Okay, good. So from there, Lara, my next question is, we've had a great time today and we've only scratched the surface. Would you come back and do another episode down the road?
I would love to. It'd be my great pleasure. Yes, please.
We'd love to have you back because I'm sure my audience will have questions and other people. And even if they go over to your site, it's nice if you got some new things coming up that we can discuss with you. So that would be great.
Amazing. Thank you. I'd love that.
Oh, yeah, I would too. I think that's wonderful. You're a lovely lady, and I appreciate all your advice. And boy, we got lots to talk about, so we'll have you back. Okay?
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and I've enjoyed chatting with you.
Laura, you're wonderful. So everyone, this is Lara Waldman. I'm going to make sure all her information is there for you. Do go over to her YouTube channel and subscribe. It helps to bring new content and keep those wonderful informational things coming. And go ahead to her website because you're going to want to look at that free course. Well done. Thank you, Lara. And to everyone else, this is Teresa Aker from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. Do subscribe to my channel. I truly appreciate that. I hope you're all having a great day, and I look forward to talking to you all very soon. Bye-bye now.